Um, my art teacher hooked me up with a box of clay, and I went home and made a huge gargoyle that was completely solid and, of course, blew up in the kiln, but I had a lot of fun. And that was my first experience with clay, and didn't really touch it again until I got back into the ceramics room at MSU.
Looking back, as I really like performing. Like I look back at my concert recitals when I started those when I was probably 7 was my first one, and even then, just kind of the adrenaline rush of it. And I guess I'm one of those introverts that is once I get on stage, I something happens, something takes over me, and I probably started at a young age.
I started professionally doing church directory pictures for Olin Mills, and that was many, many years ago. I started my studio in 2002 when I decided that I wanted to have a little more creative freedom. I worked for another studio before that, wanted to have a little more creative freedom. Also, there's some incentive for running it yourself, and that is a higher pay typically if you do a nice job.
Why do I create? I create because every time I sit down to make something, another question arises. There's another problem to be solved.
I think writing for me is kind of a coping mechanism. Like it helps me cope with just life. Life is crazy, and if I don't write, like I'll be in kind of a manic mood sometimes, and that's usually when I'm not writing. And it's until I start writing that I feel that release and I feel better. Um, but yeah, it's part of me. I don't think I can escape it.
I chose photography as a career because partly I wanted to get paid for my creative mind, I guess. At the end of the day, it's hard to keep doing creative things and live kind of a normal life like wife and kids and that sort of stuff without having some sort of paychecks. So
Yeah, the obstacles kind of in front of a person, once you're out of the academic circle are, you know, they're just kind of aspects of life that you need to balance and trying to, you know, it's really a question of commitment.
Where we're living now, we really like this little cute apartment, but our landlord lives downstairs, and we're respectful of time. So when we first moved here, it was balancing my creative outlet. Like it was after 10 p.m. when I wanted to write, 10 o'clock at night, and so I can't do that anymore. So I'm usually writing in the morning, um, and that was just I thought it was a barrier, but it was just I just needed to change it.
I think one of the big obstacles is for me as a creative person in a creative career is there's just a constant tension between making a dollar and creating something that's beautiful. And so there's factors of time, there's factors of budget that just really bottleneck something that might be beautiful.
Well, with my shift of leaving my job where I was working 40 plus hours a week and trying to do weekend gigs every weekend and then still write and, try to find balance and all that, I think that's the biggest thing is finding balance.
The people who fall to attrition, they tend to, they got other stuffs going on. Like life changes.
I think I made it harder than it needed to be. And it was just like that mental block that I put on it. Um, really at any time of the day. Like I can be creative. It's almost like like a mental block put on myself.
Staying creatively focused, staying like I can't describe it. It's something deep down that I've always had, and it doesn't. It carries through to other parts of my life too. But it's very manic as well. It's up and down, and a lot of times there's just no choice in it. And where the choice is made, it's just not having enough time.
It's not a decision. It's never should I create something or should I do something else.
I've thought about that like, man, why me? But I mean, I feel lucky and blessed to have like a talent and I'm proud of it, like singing and writing songs, but yeah, I can't imagine my life without it now that I do it.
And when you love something, it's not just creating because you want to. It goes past that into a need. So I need to come out and I need to find something that excites me within the work.
Like I would, my friends would be outside and I'd be inside practicing, gearing up for state competitions, and just practicing every day. So it's always been part of my life, yeah.
You wake up and you go into the studio because you want to. You skip the golf game with your friends who you enjoy.
I also have a wife and 2 children. I operate a couple other businesses as well. And so finding time for really good, thoughtful, creative work is difficult because for me, I need to have almost a rest period before that happens. I need to have just some silence to myself. It's a process for me to get into that mind. And if I'm constantly creating, using my creative energy for a client, I'm kind of dancing around on the surface and digging down a little bit into the creative stuff, but trying to give something that is going to be commercially viable, something the client's going to like. And I'm not always thinking to that deeper level like I would with my personal work.
Joe, my boyfriend, my partner, he keeps me going for sure, to be honest, and just like his support and understanding. Like he's an artist, so he gets it. Like what I'm doing and all what I've given up to be doing what I'm doing now. Yeah, that support system is super important. Yeah.
There's really not a whole lot that's going to talk you out of getting into the studio if that's where you want to be. And I think that's what keeps a person from attrition is it's where they want to be. I mean, the amount of personal time a person has in the day is limited. When you're trying to raise a family, make a living, and all this other stuff, I mean, you really gotta be committed to stick with it, because there are easier things to do with your free time. Much cheaper things to do with your free time. Attrition will get you unless your commitment is stronger than that pull. That's really the simplest way to say it. Jesus, what the thing? Leo, lay down. Hey, lay down. That was very loud. Knock it off. Come on. Quit. That scared the shit out of me. He's got a bark on him. That could be the good old pizza delivery person. Why don't you get that chair, man?